Hello and welcome to Help I'm a Teacher. My name is Alistair and this is Teaching Tips Tuesday. Teaching Tips Tuesday is where I give little tips, tricks and ideas to help you succeed as a substitute teacher. Today is a little bit more of a heavier topic. I want to give you 5 tips for dealing with mental health as a substitute teacher. Now this is no secret. If you're going into a different classroom every day, different schools, chances are you're going to encounter a bad day. Whether that's a challenging class, challenging student, could be just a challenging school, the dynamics weren't good, maybe you didn't get on with some teachers there, perhaps there was a parent that upset you. Either way, if you're going into different schools day after day, there are going to be chances that there is going to be days where you're going to struggle with mental health. In fact, just generally, teachers after a certain period do struggle with mental health and they do struggle with burnout. So I really am hoping that these 5 tips today will help you as a substitute teacher try to manage those bad days and get the best out of them. Which leads perfectly into tip number 1, which is every day is a learning experience. Remember, it's not just the students who are learning, we are learning every single day. What went right? What went wrong? If it was a bad day, if it was a challenging day, identify what went wrong that day. What was it about that situation? Now, I'm not talking about replaying it over and over in your head and asking what you could have done differently per se, but acknowledging that experience and learning from it is going to give you one step to not make that mistake next time. Which leads perfectly into tip number 2, which is identify your weaknesses. Maybe you find that you tend to have a lot of challenging issues when you're teaching mathematics. Why is it that whenever you teach mathematics, the classroom seems to fumble? Maybe you need to identify that mathematics isn't your strong point and that's something you need to focus on. Maybe it's when you're outside and you're doing physical activity. The class just seems to go into a ruckus because you haven't taken that first 5 minutes to really explain what you're doing outside, set those boundaries. Or maybe it is just the behavior management in general. No matter which class it is, you just can't seem to get them under control. I really hope you can check out my behavior management video if you haven't already. It's linked in the show notes below and that should hopefully give you some tips to help you with your classroom management. Tip number 3, allow yourself to get emotional. Now I'm not talking in the classroom. I don't mean breaking down and having a cry in the classroom. Over my 10-year career, I've had a really challenging day and I've got into my car and just cried my eyes out. I'm 6'4", I'm 100 kilos, I'm a big guy. I allow myself to get emotional if I have a bad day. Now, I try not to make a habit of this. It is definitely less now. Obviously, compared to when I was fresh out of university and just learning to now with all the skills and experiences that I have had, you still have those days where you just need to allow yourself to get emotional, which I really do think flows really nicely into tip number 4, which is to keep a diary. Now, if you have a normal diary, that's fine. You can put it into your normal diary, but I actually have a specific teaching diary that I use. So at the end of the day, I'll get home, I spend 5 minutes. If it's been a particularly challenging day, possibly 10 minutes to really outline some of those previous tips, which is I allow myself to get emotional. I write down what went wrong. I acknowledge what weaknesses I potentially had and how I'm going to do better next time. And sometimes the days are just completely out of your control. It's just one of those days where everything goes wrong. It was a particular student, it was a particular school. Having a diary just allows you to get it off your chest. I find by getting it out and onto paper, I'm not just replaying it over and over and over in my brain. I guarantee there's somebody watching this right now who's got a bad day in their mind that it keeps getting replayed over and over and over again. So get it out of your head, put it into a diary, close the diary, learn from it, and move on. Tip number 5. This one is super important and it's probably one of the main reasons why I started this channel, and that is to build a community of teachers. So tip number 5 is find other teachers. Now, if you're a substitute teacher, it's different than being a full-time classroom teacher where you have other teachers in the school that you can talk to. You might be the only teacher you really know. Even though you went to university with students, you might be in a completely different area. I found this isolating when I moved from Australia and I flew to England to teach. Now I'm back in Australia now, but when I was over in England, I had no community of teachers. I would have loved something like this to share experiences with, to connect with teachers and to just share those stories and to share those challenging days. I really want this YouTube channel to be a community of people who can really help each other. But specifically when it comes to your mental health, you are not in this alone. There are heaps and heaps and heaps of teachers out there that are feeling the exact same way you are. So connect with other teachers. It's super important. And do you notice that I say other teachers and not other people? Now, I'm sure you've got your own support networks, but there are going to be people who just do not understand teachers. They do not understand teaching, and they go, wait a second, Don't you just get all those holidays and it's just kids. They will not understand. Teachers understand you, and they will understand when you say, oh my gosh, little Lucy just got on a table and just had a massive meltdown and completely ruined the day. So please connect with other teachers. It is really going to help you. I've got a bonus tip, tip number 6. Now this one is, don't be afraid to say no to certain classes. If there is a certain class that you keep getting called for at a certain school, you can say no. Do not be afraid to say no to a class or a school. It is very difficult at first because you kind of feel like you're being vulnerable. And in some of my other videos, I'm like, yes, absolutely, get in there, show that you can do it. But if you've had a couple of bad experiences in that classroom, you haven't been able to set those boundaries, you haven't been able to set those class rules, and the classroom management is just non-existent in those classes, do not be afraid to say no. Your mental health is more important than booking a day. And honestly, being honest and talking to the teacher or the staff member who is booking you is going to go a long way too. So guys, for such a big topic, these are only 6 tips. I'm sure there are plenty more that you can think of. If you're wanting to connect with other teachers, why don't you leave a comment below with your Instagram account and you can start connecting with other teachers. I really do want this to be a community where we all come together and help each other. But listen, thank you so much for watching this video. My name is Alistair. This is Help I'm a Teacher. And until next time, bye for now.